so plain and precious. Finally, the Book of Mormon is the keystone of testimony. Just as the arch crumbles if the keystone is removed, so does all the church stand or fall with the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. The enemies of the church understand this clearly. There are three great reasons why Latter-day Saints should make the study of the Book of Mormon a lifetime pursuit. The first is that the Book of Mormon is the keystone of our religion. This was the prophet Joseph Smith's statement. He testified that the Book of Mormon was the most correct of any book on earth and the keystone of our religion. A keystone is the central stone in an arch. It holds all the other stones in place, and if removed, the arch crumbles. There are three ways in which the Book of Mormon is the keystone of our religion. It is the keystone in the witness of Christ. It is the keystone of our doctrine. It is the keystone of our testimony. The Book of Mormon is the keystone in our witness of Jesus Christ. The Lord follows with this warning: but those who harden their hearts in unbelief and reject it, it shall turn to their own condemnation. In 1829, the Lord warned the saints that they are not to trifle with sacred things, and yet many trifle with it, or in other words, take it lightly, treat it as though it is of little importance. In 1832, as some missionaries returned from their fields of labor, the Lord reproved them for treating the Book of Mormon lightly. As a result of that attitude, he said, their minds had been darkened. Not only had treating the sacred book lightly brought a loss of light to themselves, it had also brought the whole church under condemnation. It is indeed another testament of the witness of Jesus. This is one of the reasons why we have recently added the words, "Another Testament of Jesus Christ," to the title of the Book of Mormon. Much of the Christian world today rejects the divinity of the Savior.
Travis Wingedzel. So to recap Armageddon so far, on the final day of celebrating Sukkot, ingathering, tabernacles for the Jews, Hamas, who are Palestinian, did a major terrorist assault on Israel. Not a single Islamic follower, 1.8 billion worldwide, condemned Hamas. In fact, many cheered as a major victory. And so, Netanyahu assembled the troops and was planning to do a defensive strike. but he hesitated. He gave Palestinians time to leave so that he can then focus only on Hamas. Hamas ordered the Palestinians to stay. They stayed, and they complained to the news that Israel is making demands for them to leave. And because of this delay, there was not a sufficient outrage by Islam around the world. And so a Palestinian Islamic jihadist group bombed the Gaza hospital, for which they blamed Israel. And that triggered an outrage against Israel. And yet, Netanyahu still hesitated. Get out of Palestine if you're claiming to be innocent, so that we can focus our attack on Hamas. Hezbollah from Lebanon joined in the fighting, and the whole world began turning on Israel. The UN blamed Israel and denounced them for shutting off the water and the electric in Palestine, there in Gaza, and calling it a war crime and human rights violations. And the aid through Egypt was slow and insufficient. The press are reporting how the poor Palestinians are being tortured and abused, and the doctors at the hospitals are claiming that we're overfilled and this is a human atrocity and this fighting must stop. Amnesty International calls out Israel for war crimes, and Red Cross is saying this is atrocious. They can't get aid in, and the fighting must stop. And the liberal press likewise are reporting the Palestinian version, thus supporting the Palestinian version of events, all ignoring Hamas's first attack. And so, as Syria also began bombing, which they also were bombing America, and so America is fighting back with them too. Israel's now begun the ground invasion. And as the Palestinians refuse to leave, the women and children are being covered in the worldwide press now with the ground invasion happening. Protesting in the streets, women and children, peacefully. All of a sudden, now it's peaceful, demanding that Israel stop. If you do not know Islam, Islam was founded by Muhammad, 600 CE. He claimed to be the man like Moses, the Jewish Christ of the latter days. He went to the top of a mountain, he claimed, received the Quran directly from the hand of Allah for all Islam to follow, in which women are supposed to be subjected to their husbands and cover up and hide their bodies because they're naked and they're sexually attractive. And so therefore they are sinners, and they are seductresses who cause men to commit sin. And so you have to be married in the temple of Allah in order to have sex. And obviously I'm merging it with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because Muslims and Mormons are the same. The church came out with a pamphlet. And he gathered up a group of Islamic followers, and they went village to village in the Middle East doing a scorched earth conversion policy. Join us or you die, and we burn your village. That is the founding of Islam. And when an Islamic priesthood holder dies during war, which this is war that Hamas caused, they are promised by Allah in the Quran to go directly to the highest degree of the celestial kingdom through the law of sacrifice in their temple. Yeah, you can see the patterns that I'm setting up for here. And they get 72 virgins, not 10 like the Mormons priesthood holder gets for dying during war. Child bride virgins. So these little girls on the protest line, and the women and the young boys have been indoctrinated since birth that when they die during war, they go straight to paradise. And the little girls will be paired up with a righteous Islamic priesthood holder to be one of his 72 child bride virgins. That's their belief. That's why they don't worry about dying. In Islam, they cannot commit murder. They cannot commit a crime. They cannot lie. Everything they do, which in our westernized culture is murder, lying, and criminal, to them it's not, because Allah orders it. It is we heathen infidels who just don't understand. And we can't judge them. They judge us. Because we are the cockroaches, parasites, heathen infidels who are corrupting their youth, their children. And so they want social media banned because it's porn. It's harmful to children. Sound familiar? And so that's why they're doing this, so that the world press will see that they're innocent women and children being slaughtered by the Israelis. Hamas ordered them to stay. Netanyahu purposely hesitated and delayed, giving them more than enough time to leave so that Israel can fight Hamas only. And Hamas said stay, they stayed. They cheered, they ignore the first cause of Hamas, because Allah ordered it. And so therefore they're not in the wrong. Israel is. No matter what Israel does, they're wrong. And they need to be exterminated from the face of the earth. And they're going to claim to be martyrs and victims of Israel so that the whole world turns on them. So, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints had this president named Ezra Taft Benson. In his first year as president of the church, in April, he came out with To the Youth of the Noble Birthright, to me when I was just barely turned a priest at 16 years of age. And in that April conference, he told me that pregnancy is a pernicious evil, quoting from Kimball's Miracle of Forgiveness, quoting from Elder Packer at a conference talk. back in the 60s or 70s or whatever. And so it became canon, according to oral tradition of Mormons, that any conference talk given by the prophets is considered authoritative. And as Benson, as an apostle, gave his BYU talk about the 17 fundamentals of, or 11 fundamentals, whatever the number was, of a living prophet, now all of a sudden the Book of Mormon is null and void, because the living prophet takes authority over the Book of Mormon. The living prophet takes authority over the words of Jesus in the Bible, because they're dead. Don't you know that one? Did you not catch it? Benson contradicted himself in those steps. And so here he goes again. In October, also Metallica came out with their new album there in February or March, because it was for my birthday. Master of Puppets. And we're going to use that in the theme song in the description below. Master of Puppets. Yeah, I bought the cassette, and that was my bedtime story songs. I would go to sleep, and it got to the point where it was conditioned in me that when I started playing the cassette tape, I would fall asleep, so I would never make it to Master of Puppets. It was usually the middle of the first song when I started falling asleep, because I was conditioning myself. So yes, women who are pregnant, vacuum and do loud noises while your baby is sleeping in your womb, so that your baby gets conditioned when you have to clean the house and make loud noises when the baby is sleeping. It works. It's amazing. And so in October now, after condemning men for being pornographic and listening to Metallica, their new album, and condemning women for being pregnant, he now comes out and pulls a fallacy argument on you. If you don't know what a fallacy is, look it up. You've got Google search. Haven't you figured out how to use it? Or do you just use the internet for social media? This is about the Book of Mormon, the keystone of our religion. And because of this, his push on the Book of Mormon, it caused Lynette Hymas, I think I called her Leanne Hymas by mistake in the last video I did, or when I talked about it. Our seminary class, we were asked to read the Book of Mormon and bear a blood oath covenant that we had read the Book of Mormon, because we were on our honor. And we had to read it all the way through. And then the names of those of us who read it all the way through was attached with the picture that I had showed you. And it was given to President Benson that we are true and faithful. We have read the Book of Mormon all the way through. Okay? I guess that was a worldwide thing that was done. It was because of this conference talk. Book of Mormon, keystone of our religion. And they put the quote here, Ensign, November 1986, page 6. I never understood this. It means conference talk. You should be quoting General Conference, the conference report, and they're... But when you get people who are not knowledgeable on making manuals, this is what you get. And so, here's the quote. Well, I probably should read the first one of his. He says, there are three ways in which the Book of Mormon is the keystone of our religion. It is the keystone in our witness of Christ. It is the keystone of our doctrine. It is the keystone of our testimony. Okay? There's some errors in there, and all Mormons miss it because of the quote we're about to get here. And then there's three quotes. Yeah, we'll read these three quotes. Keystone in our witness of Christ. The Book of Mormon is the keystone in our witness of Jesus Christ, who is himself the cornerstone. Well, he's dead, so Nelson got up at the pulpit of conference as the living prophet of Jesus and said that Jesus is the chief cornerstone of the cornerstone, not the cornerstone. It bears witness of his reality. Its testimony of the Master is clear, undiluted, and full of power. Much of the Christian world today rejects the divinity of the Savior. Really? Ask them about that. Oh, you're a Christian. You deny the divinity of Jesus. They question his miraculous birth. Oh my God. His perfect life and the reality of his glorious resurrection. Oh my God. President Ezra Taft Benson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints declares war on Christians. Oh my God. The Book of Mormon teaches in plain and unmistakable terms about the truth of all those. It also provides the most complete explanation of the doctrine of the atonement. Keystone of our doctrine. In the Book of Mormon, we will find the fullness of those doctrines required for our salvation. And they are taught plainly and simply, so that even a Mormon can understand them. Children can learn the ways of salvation and exaltation. Yep. The part where the Lamanites have declared Armageddon against the Nephites and are raping the little girls and feeding the flesh of their daddies to them. That plain and precious. Without it, much of what is taught in our scriptures would not be nearly so plain and precious. How did I know? How did I know? Okay, here we go. Christians retaliated with this talk, not just because he denounced Christians as not having faith in Jesus. The Book of Mormon is the keystone of testimony. Just as the arch crumbles if the keystone is removed. Okay? So does all the church Which church? Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Stand or fall with the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. If the Book of Mormon be true, then one must accept the claims of the restoration, first vision, second vision, and all that accompanies it. And so Christians retaliated. And they started coming out and exposing the plagiarisms in the Book of Mormon, that it couldn't be literal history, that it couldn't be an actual ancient document by the Americans. And the DNA scandal emerged, and the geography scandal emerged, and cows. Cows emerged. I'm resurrecting the cow Book of Mormon for the thumbnail. So, what's the problem? See, critics are correct, but their conclusion is wrong. But all they needed to do was show that Benson was a knucklehead. And they succeeded. But Mormons continued to believe the lies. You see, it's Joseph Smith who came out with the Book of Mormon. Not Benson. Not Brigham. Not John Taylor. Not Wilford Woodruff. Not Lorenzo Snow. Not Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. Not Heber J. Grant. All of them up to Monson and Nelson now. And it's sort of Oakes who's stepping up to do the job because Nelson fell. And so he's down and out for the count. But Kamen told the children on the 22nd of October, last week, it's the 1 week anniversary of Nelson hypnotizing little children. Thank Jesus. And from conference, his wheelchair-bound chair, think celestial. These are hypnotic triggers to bias your research and your study so that you go in thinking, well, the Book of Mormon's about Jesus, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to prove the Book of Mormon true, that it's about Jesus, Christian Jesus, whom Christians deny. And so you go through it. Exit out of this. And we pull up the scripture program. And we begin reading our Book of Mormon. And right at the beginning of the Book of Mormon, we read, "Yea, I make a record in the language of my father, which consists of the learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians." Christian? Jesus? That's the Jewish religion, huh? Did the Jews know this? Christians are not Christian. Jews don't know that they're Christian. Oh my God. Yeah. Just see the fallacy argument of Benson. Just see his little brainwashing trick. Hypnotizing all Mormons. Church stands or falls on the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon being Christian. Because we're the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Duh. It's in the middle of the name. There's some problems with this. And the church will not tell you the truth. They can't, because they're telling you the lies. And even though the Gospel Topics essays came out and claimed, yeah, we've lied to you, here's now the truth. The Joseph Smith Papers then gets released. And oops, it now confesses that the Gospel Topics essays are all lies to cover up the lies, which were lies to cover up Heber J. Grant's lies, of Brigham Young's lies about what the truth was with Joseph Smith. And all you have to do is read the Joseph Smith Papers, and you will find bombshell after bombshell after bombshell after bombshell after bombshell after bombshell after bombshell that this church falls. Not Joseph's church. Not the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon in the learning of the Jews, but in Brigham Young's replacement as Christian, and the Book of Mormon as Christian. Now it falls. Now it's not true. Now the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not true. And yes, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, just like a terrorist organization like Hamas, are hypnotizing children to be the shield for the church to go around the world on October 22nd and say they have a testimony of Jesus. That Mormons are victims. We're innocent. You have to accept and believe us, or you're a bigot. You're the villain. You're denying us our religious freedom. Ignoring the first cause, that Brigham Young cooed, murdered, and stole Joseph's church and replaced it with Christianity. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints cannot tell you the truth. They've revealed the truth in the Joseph Smith Papers, but they can't do the changes that the Joseph Smith Papers requires, because their whole standing is dependent on Brigham Young's replacement theory. Because if the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is false, not Christian, then Brigham Young is the one to blame. Not Joseph. Not the Book of Mormon. And Mormons know how to read, don't you? You see Jews, and yet you still put Jesus. You put Christian. And so as you continue to read, you think Lehi is literal history, because after all, it's proven Zedekiah was the king of Judah. It's in the archaeological records. It's a known fact. So therefore, the Book of Mormon has to be true. And cows, therefore, are true. Because you don't know the learning of the Jews. And so the Babylonian captivity, that was true. And so then you get to verse 8. Lehi, being overcome with the Spirit, now has a vision. Hey, it's an exact pattern match for Joseph Smith's second vision, which therefore must be literal history true, too, as Christian. And so verse 9, sees one descending out of the midst of heaven, and he beheld that his luster was above that of the sun at noonday. Well, obviously that's Jesus. Think Jesus. That's what Nelson told the children to believe. Think Jesus. Everything you read, everything you get involved with, it's think Jesus. Everything has to do with Jesus. Just plug in Jesus for everything you do. And not a single Mormon knows and understands that they are now anti-Semites. They are the enemies of Israel and the Jews. Just like Hamas and all of Islam. So who was it that came to Joseph Smith in the grove? In the vision, not literal history. And what does it say about verse 19? Oh, real simple, guys, and y'all messed it.